Bonjour les Yénine, voici notre deuxième leçon de la semaine. Écrivez la date et le titre. Jeudi 11 février ou vendredi 12 février. Le titre c'est Traduction. Alors, on va commencer avec une activité de brainstorming sur la conjugaison. I want you to explain out loud how to form the perfect tense and when to use it. I want you to name all the Mrs. Van der Tram verbs. Name all the verbs that have an irregular past participle and how to form the imperfect tense and when to use it. As a challenge, explain as well the simple future and name the irregular verbs in the simple future. Take 5 minutes to do this task out loud. You don't need to write anything down. I just want you to make the effort to retrieve what you've learned before. Okay? You can pause the video now. Off you go. Okay, très bien. If you struggle to remember any of the things that you had to explain out loud in the starter activity, make sure you go back in your book to find the day when we did these tenses and revise them. You will need them for your next assessment. You will need them for GCSE. The tenses are so important. Make sure you know them off by heart. If there is any tense that is unclear, remember that you can contact your teacher who will be able to explain them to you again. Also, if you go on BBC Bite Size, there are lots of videos to explain tenses as well. Make sure you visit the website, BBC Bite Size. Ok, on commence. Alors, make sure you've written down the date and title. Aujourd'hui, on va surtout s'entraîner à la traduction. Ok, on va faire une traduction sur tout ce qu'on a appris en janvier. We're going to do a translation using all the vocab and everything we've learned this half term. So in order to be able to do this, we first need to revise. So we are going to create a mind map. The mind map will be on the themes that we've covered this half term. So I've put here an example of what a mind map could look like. Here, it's a mind map on the vocab of leisure and sports. This is not what we've covered this half term, okay? This is just to show you how you could present it. You can have big categories and then subcategories. You can present it the way you want. You can be as creative as you want, and it can be as colorful as you want. The main rule is it has to include as much detail as possible, and it has to be clear, okay? So make sure you include the vocabulary we've learned about organizing a party, invitations, excuses, festivals, French traditions. You can use your home learning booklet for vocab and use as well your French book. Make sure you include the grammar points explaining the difference between the pronoun tu and vous, which we learned 2 or 3 weeks ago. And make sure it includes information about near future, simple future, imperfect, perfect, and conditional. We revised all these tenses this half term, so you need to include them in your mind map. You should spend 15 minutes creating your mind map. If you need any help, contact your teacher. Off you go. Pause now. Okay, now that you've revised everything covered this half term, we can go ahead and do our translation. So, I've created a text including everything we've learned this half term. This activity will help you realize if you have learned the vocab well enough, okay? So this is a sort of mini test for you to assess your learning. So The text is, last year I went to France in June for the Fête de la Musique. Don't translate Fête de la Musique, that's just the name of the celebration, so you cannot translate it. It was absolutely great. I left. So here, into brackets, I've put that I want you to use the verb partir. Partir is one of the Mrs. Van der Tram verbs. Okay? So which verb are we going to use in the past with partir? That's right, we're going to use être. Okay? So with my brother and our friends, careful here, I want you to use the masculine form of the word friends. Then we took, I want you to use the pronoun on every time I've used we. Okay, the train and the bus, and we arrived in Paris in the evening. Okay, we ate in a restaurant in the center of town and we slept at my aunt's. Okay, at my aunt's, that's gonna be a challenge here. We've learned at, you may find this a bit difficult. You can use word reference for help. Who, I've put some help here, lives in the suburbs. Suburb is a word that you learned in year 8. So you might have to go back to your year 8 book. On a Saturday at the Fête de la Musique, we had lots of fun. That's quite a challenging phrase here to translate. It's the verb s'amuser. It's a reflexive verb in the perfect tense. Reflexive verbs, remember, they go with être. Okay? For there were all styles of music. What I like is rap music. So to translate what, it's ce que. I've put the help here. But my best friend's favorite music is electro music because he loves to dance. No difficulty here. Apart from the possessive, okay? Remember, in French, you need to say the favorite music of my best friend, okay? At 5 p.m., remember we don't use AM and PM in French. So careful here. There was already a lot of people on the streets. We saw musicians and we danced all night long. All night long is toute la nuit. Then I would like to return there. Careful with the there here. We've covered this a couple of weeks ago. I hope you remember how to translate this. With my best friend, make sure you make it feminine here. I want the feminine word for friend next year. It would be great, and maybe we could take part as musicians. As here will be translated with comme. However, I don't have enough money, therefore is donc, I'm going to have to find a little job. A little job is un petit boulot, to earn money. So I've provided you with all the help that you need in order to succeed. You can use your book from year 9 or year 8 to help you with this. You have the rest of the lesson to do this translation. So it should take about 10 to 20 minutes. Okay? Do not use Google Translate. It would not help you at all. Okay? If you need to look up any vocab, you use word reference. Off you go. Ok, très bien les year 9. Maintenant, c'est l'heure du plenary. Now that you've finished your translation, it's time for proofreading it. Don't forget to proofread every time you write a translation or an essay in French. So I want you to ask yourself the following questions and then check your work. So, looking at your translation, ask yourself, are the words correctly spelled? Don't assume that they are. We all make mistakes. Go through each word and ask yourself if they are correctly spelled. Are the words in the correct order? Did I use the right tense for each verb? There was a variety of tenses in the translation, so make sure you've used the right tense every time. Check if you translated everything. Make sure you did not skip any bits in the translation. Make sure you've used capital letters at the start of sentences and punctuation. And also ask yourself, did I make the agreement for the adjectives? You've got 5 minutes to go through your translation and check all of this. Once you're done, hand in your work and bon travail à tous. Bravo les Yanine. Au revoir.